here's the thing. Gotham Knights is not great. Before I bloviate about my favorite things about this game, I'm going to do a lightning round list of complaints. The incredibly clunky manual traversal complemented by an incredibly stiff and slippery bat cycle, the crafting that feels unnecessarily ambiguous, the incredibly predictable and lackluster story, the flat and uninteresting villains, all of the major character beats pertaining to the grieving of Batman being part of an optional side mission, the god-awful costumes lacking any adherence to comic inspiration or adaptation, and most of all, Jason Todd being limited to the edgy, angry Robin that died one time, Tim Drake being written as halfway between early MCU Spider-Man and early Rise of the TMNT Donatello, Barbara Gordon being as compelling as a brick, and Dick Grayson being, actually, Dick's kind of okay. Yeah, this game is not great. But it does offer one thing that I think firmly gives it an edge over most other superhero games. Patrols. Okay, let's start here. What are superhero games for? Simply put, superhero games are supposed to make you feel like a superhero. Star-Lord, Spider-Man, Batman, they've been doing it for years and are somehow only now picking up speed. And one thing superhero games have always kind of struggled with is the day-to-day aspect of superheroing. Sometimes these games are big events in the character's life, start to finish, an extraordinary circumstance dragging them into an extraordinary adventure. Sometimes the extraordinary adventure flows from the ordinary, a snowball starting at the street level and cascading into disaster by the story's climax. But regardless, superhero games usually fail to encapsulate what makes the non-event crime fighting an engaging part of the superhero experience. And there's only really a few games worth mentioning in this regard. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 has a highly divisive crime system, and sure, while it does have a pretty cool variety of crimes to stop, which do kinda make you feel like Spider-Man, especially in the ones where the focus is on saving people rather than beating up bad guys, the needless attachment to a morality system drags the whole affair down. The modern Spider-Man games do a better job of this. A crime pops up, you handle it, you move on, and in the second one they make it possible to select which crime you want to fight. A few of these revolve around saving people, but all revolve around fighting bad guys. And as for Batman games... Okay, moving on. Gotham Knights does something I adore with its patrol mode, in that it is a legitimate patrol. Most people only think of the superhero job in the context of these big events, mostly because we see superheroes primarily through movies nowadays. But in a technically endless format like video games or, say, comic books, we need to see that crime fighting 5 to 9. And that's where patrols come in. The game is measured in actual nights, and you get ratings depending on your combat effectiveness and how much you actually accomplish. If you take your time, or you're an idiot like me, the game's going to take about a month's worth of nights to complete. But those nights are jam-packed with different events. The muggings and assaults are pretty standard fare, but the real fun comes from interrogating informants in those petty crimes. Because they'll give you information on upcoming premeditated crimes that won't happen in the city until tomorrow night. So you spend the entire night collecting clues, and then you go back to the Belfry. You spend the next day crafting new gear, maybe switch your character, and when you go back out the next night, you take into account all the information you gained in the previous night, and now you have a whole new set of crimes to take on. It's the perfect way to properly give in-game context to the Bat family's never-ending war on crime. And it factors into the story as well. Sure, functionally, it's just the usual RPG loot grind that the game's going for, where you have to take on a certain number of enemies or a certain number of crimes or something like that, but it makes sense that the Bat fam would dedicate a certain amount of their patrol time to gaining vital intel for their ongoing investigations. So yeah, in a real way, the gameplay loop of Gotham Knights is designed to make you feel like a vigilante tasked with the goal of protecting Gotham City night after night. We probably won't get a sequel to this game. I mean, we should, to capitalize on this world, give the voice cast a more refined stab at these characters, definitely to introduce Kate, Cass, Duke, and Harper, but honestly, if we do get a sequel, I won't be playing for any of that. I'll be playing for the evolution of the best superhero experience. Special thanks to my buddy Omar for donating to the $10 tier on my Patreon. If you want to help the channel out, then go assemble at what is effectively my belfry, my base of operations, my Patreon, which is probably going to be revamped at some point in the near future. The prices aren't going to change, but I am going to put more of a focus on actually making content for it, so that you guys, use it, including, like, probably written reviews of, like, recent movies. And also, I'm probably going to start doing, like, the very occasional Patreon-exclusive video, so if you want to see exclusive content, please, go donate to the Patreon. It really helps me out.